Okay, I think this has started here. I'm trying one of the technologies available to me through Simmons to make a sort of demonstration of the authority file that you are using for assessment number 2. I hope this is working. I hope it's grabbing what is on my screen. We'll try this out and see if it works. And this is just going to be kind of an ad hoc demonstration of the authority file because I think it helps, especially in the online environment, to be able to see how I might go through the Library of Congress authorities and find some authority records and see what they look like and see how I'm navigating through this. So let me know if I get this to work and I upload it. Let me know if it's helpful. And remember that if you already handed in your assignment for some reason or a little early, you can always go back and change things after you see what I'm going to do here today. I'm not going to search for anything that's on your assignment, but I'm just going to, again, try some things that might be interesting. And I haven't done these ahead of time, so I'm really just playing around here, and let's see how it works. Now, when you get to the Library of Congress Authorities page, you can see that hopefully on the screen here. There are different types of searches you can do. So I am going to be doing name authority headings. So make sure you have that checked here or selected, name authority. You don't want the other kinds of searches right now. So I'm going to stick in something here that is maybe could be a little bit complex to see how it works. I'm going to stick in Shakespeare as a search. Now I'm looking for Shakespeare, the one that we all think about when we think about Shakespeare, William Shakespeare, the writer, the author who did all the plays, the bard himself. So let's see what we find here. I put in Shakespeare and I'm going to hit begin search. We've timed out, so I have to start over. I had this page open, so let's start again. Shakespeare. Again, remember it defaults to subject, so go to name authority headings. That's what we want. Begin search. So now we get to your first results page here, and you can see that you have all of these lists and what type of heading they are, etc. This can be helpful. You can see that some of these are corporate names. Shakespeare and Company, that's a corporation. It's not an individual. But what we're mainly going to be looking at are these red rounded off rectangles here on the side. Now, you don't really, this can be overwhelming basically, which is why I wanted to do this. You see all of these different things. You see these bib records, how many bibliographic records are associated with whatever this result is here. And you also see there's a difference here in some of these are references and some of these are authorized headings. So what I recommend you do is just start clicking around in here and see what might be, what might make sense. It takes a little bit of practice. So Shakespeare, basic Shakespeare, there are no bib records associated with this. There is not an authorized heading like there is on some of these things, but I'm going to click on references and see where that takes me. Now, it says here, when I clicked on Shakespeare, there is an authority record available, which is right here. It also says, see this person. What the heck is that? I don't know. That doesn't look like the person I'm looking for. Let me click on this authority record. And it says that Shakespeare is a 400 reference to this person. This isn't what we want. Okay, we never want what's in the 400. The 400 is not the authorized mark field for an authority record. So there are mark fields in authority records just like there are in bibliographic records, which is what we've been using up until this point, but they mean different things once you're in an authority record. So we want a 100. This is not what we want at all. I'm simply going to hit my back key here and go back out a couple places and go, that didn't make sense to me. Now that might not be obvious. You may be looking at that and go, how would you even know? Well, I'm playing around here. I'm going to just look down at some of these things and see if they make sense. Shakespeare, this date is looking familiar to me. This looks kind of like when the Shakespeare that we're talking about was around. And again, I'm not a historian, I don't know, but I'm just going to check it because it looks kind of familiar. You can see it is a personal name. You can also see that there are only references. Let's see where those references take us. Well, there is an authority record, and it says that you should see Shakespeare, William, 1564 to 1616. That really kind of looks good. If you clicked on the authority record, you would see that the heading we were looking at originally, Shakespeare 1564 to 1616, is a 400 reference listing or sending us through that 400 reference to that person right there. Now, this is an actual authority record, and the heading is, you can see right here, Shakespeare William. This is what you would use as your heading, as you know, to fill in the answer basically on your assessment for an actual heading. And we're going to look down here in the 100. You see this 100? This is the authorized heading. Now, the way it's listed here is a subfield A for the person's name, and then a subfield D for dates associated with this person. So this information, trying to highlight it here, this information is what is shown in the actual heading right here. You want to grab this, do a Control-C, whatever, and copy it and paste it, and that will be your actual heading. But let's look at this record a little bit. Let's scroll down here. So we can see that it is an authorized heading in the 100. And you can also see a little bit more information as we look down through the record. Stratford upon Avon, England, that's where the guy was active. That is totally the guy we're looking for. He's a poet, a dramatist, an actor. He's done acting. He's male. Now, see all these 400s. These are all ways that his name is represented in different resources, and they are not authorized headings, but if anyone were to like misspell his name here without the E on the end, if you know they did certain things differently, Shakespeare is also spelled wrong, they're missing an E here, all of these things would take you back and guide you back to this person of William Shakespeare. So that's what authority control does. It takes all of these different variants on the person's name and brings you back to the authorized heading, so that everything that is out there that is written by this guy, produced by this guy, you know, in our bibliographic universe, so to speak, all of that will be brought together. Now, because it's Shakespeare and he's known all over the world, he has a lot of 400s. You can see all the different scripts, you know, in the Cyrillic alphabet, the Arabic alphabet, all different ways that he is listed, and these will all be tied together. So you can see all of that. You can also see different information down here. You can see in some of the 670s different notes that talk about, you know, how this record was created, where they got information for this record. Here's a familiar one, Encyclopedia Britannica. You can see here that they are saying, yes, this is how we're, you know, getting information to confirm who this person is. There are some examples of some titles that he wrote, etc., things like that also. But you will mainly be concerned, if you wanted to find this guy's heading, to know that yes, this is William Shakespeare, and this is his heading. So that one wasn't too difficult. There's a lot of other stuff in here that, you know, you don't really have to look at, but those are the important things. Let's try a new search. Let's do another one here. Something a little bit more complicated. And again, I haven't done this one in a while, so let's hope that I make sense of this. Again, we're in name authority headings. I am going to put in Prince. Now what I'm looking for is the musician, artist Prince, and he went by several different names. Let's begin a search here on that and see what we find. You can see here that right at the top there is something called Prince. It's a personal name. There are 94 bibliographic records, and over here we have authorized heading and references. So you can see here under Prince we have an authority record, and we also have a musical group. I'm going to click on the authority record, and there is a heading, 100 field, that's what we want. You see this 1XX because, you know, name authority headings, again, follow this pattern, 100. If you have a corporate authority heading. It'll be a 130, So, again, we have that pattern going on with Mark, but we want whatever in this 100. We're going to click on Prince. So, Prince, let's see what we have here under the 100. Just Prince. So that is an authorized heading for Prince. Is this the Prince we want? Well, he is from Chanhassen, Minnesota, the musician, and so I do see that note in there. Popular music, rhythm and blues. Now, if we look in the 400, we can see some references to other things that, if they were searched, will bring you back to Prince. In the 400, we have artist formerly known as Prince. Now, if you know anything about Prince, he did go by that name for a while. This is probably his birth name here, I'm not exactly sure, but this is also an acronym that stands for the artist formerly known as Prince. So you can see musician and recording star, Rock's Who's Who, Purple Rain. These are all things that let you know this is the person that I'm looking for. So Wikipedia reference here, Prince is a musician. This is his birth name, his given name. You can see his birth date and his death date. He was an American singer, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist. This is the person I was looking for. He was a Jehovah's Witness. I did not know that, but there we go. So, if you want the authorized name heading for this artist, it is right here. It is simply Prince. Okay? So, sometimes there will be notes down here that are important to read because certain institutions change names. Sometimes people actually change names, and there will be headings that refer to a person only for a specific period of time. Sometimes there will be a note down here that says this is the authorized heading basically for this person. But now they are known as, this. Now, we can see here Prince was known by these other names. Sometimes people will have a separate authority file or authority record under a different name, because they still existed and they were still using that name, and so it's an actual authorized heading for a person during that time period. Other times, though, like in this example, he switched his name back. So it says in a note down here, at one point he changed his name to a symbol, and he was often referred to as the artist formerly known as Prince, or TAFKAP. At his marriage in February of 1996, he resumed his former name. So what they've done with Prince is they've just gathered everything under one authority record. But it's important to read some of these notes, because sometimes you will see that something is referred to one way for a certain time, and it is actually an authorized heading for use during that time, and then there is another authorized heading. I believe there is an example of that in your assessment, but I can't think of any offhand to give you right now without using one from the assessment. I don't want to do that. So just make sure that you read through the authority record for any kind of notes that give you more information. I think I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to see if this worked and upload it for everyone who's still working on the assessment over the weekend, and hopefully this will have been helpful. Thank you.